Good evening, everyone. I am Yesraj Soda. Today, I am going to discuss about the influence of Greek mythology on kids' poetry. Uh, this is my personal information. And now, first, we discussed basic idea about the Keats. Keats was born on 31st October 1795 in London, England. Died on 23rd February 1821, Rome, Papal State, age 25. Period we call the Romantic period. He is a Romantic poet, as we know him. Notable works we find Endymion, Hyperion, La Belle Dame sans Mercy, Ode to Psyche, and movement he has contributed his work. It was Romanticism. The Greek mythology in the history of Encyclopedia, Thomas Cartwell and Mary Carpenter has mentioned this information. The Greek mythology was used as the means to explain the environment in which humankind lived and natural phenomena they witnessed, and the passing of the time through the days, months, and seasons, whatever they have lived and whatever they have learned in the Greek mythology, Greek gods. We find that Greek myths gave faces and characters to the gods of the Greek religion, but they have also gave people helpful, practical advice on the best way to lead a happy life. There are the gods in it. It is mythical, but in the real life also, it gives us the motivation to live. As we know the story of Prometheus, we know that he has bring the fire from the god, so he has done something good to the humanity. For he has to give something for his on sake. Also he has to sacrifice his pain and all the types of things for humankind. So we also find this type of thing in Greek mythology. uh, in the article, Chaprasi, Muhammad Chaprasi mentioned this information that how Keats was from the very beginning was influenced by this Greek mythology. Keats has the inborn love for Greek impetus, their religion and joy. As a student, he composed a prose translation of Virgil's work, Aeneid. A little later, he read Homer's Greek epic Iliad and was thrilled by its beauty. So, from the very he was a student in the schooling time, he was also reading the Greek mythology, and then he develops the love for Greek mythology. His passion and excitement are expressed deeply in his sonnet on first looking into Chapman's Homer. He has also written one little poem about describing the how he likes about the Greek mythology and the work he has been reading. Three books which Keats possessed as the student and enjoyed a lot deeply are Tocque's Pantheon, Lempiras Classical Dictionary, and the great Spencer Polymeric, which provided him the further insight into classical art and literature. Then he develops more interest in the literature. This article named was the study of the Keats' interest in the poetry. I forgot the name, perfect name, but it was there. And now the first poem, the Ode to Psyche. Here are some stanza is there from the poem. O goddess, hear these tuneless numbers wrung by sweet enforcement and resemblance dear, and pardon that thy secrets should be sung even into own soft conch ear. In the Keats, he writes in the poetry in the opening stanza. Keats invokes the Greek goddess Psyche, addressing her the divine presence. Her presence is everywhere, and we are living in the influence of this goddess. He acknowledges the audacity of the singing of her secrets of her own ears. This reflects the reverence and the fascination that Keats has for the mythological characters. That shows the loves for mythological characters of Keats. The second poem we are going to, that is influenced by the Greek mythology, Ode on Grecian urn. Here are some stanza is put it there. The poem is centered around the ancient Grecian urn. You can find the photograph here, the Grecian urn, which is described as a piece of art adorned with the various scenes and figures. Keats explores the idea of individual's beauty, which is the concept was often associated with ancient Greek art and philosophy. In the every side of the urn, we find the different pictures are incarnated from the Greek mythology. So we find the stories and how they used to live the life. So when Keats sees this gun, it is writes this poem. The poem references the Greek mythology with allusion to god of love, Eros, and Greek town of Arcadia. We find that in Grecian poem. In the third novel, Endymion, from the Endymion, book one, there are three books, poem which is written by Keats. So it is the story of the Endymion, who is the lover of Selene, the Greek goddess. The titles come from the classical Greek myth about the moon of goddess Selene, who falls in love with a young, handsome Aeolian shepherd, a king of Olympia named Endymion. Endymion is the name of the Greek goddess's lover. Keats uses vivid and sensual imagery throughout the poem, reminiscence of the rich description found in the classical Greek poetry. We find that he dig deeper into the Greek characters and how they like to be in the end. So, in the conclusion, we find the perfection of form and the beauty of shape, the purity and preciousness of outline, a restraint and reserve associated with the Greek are found in Keats' poetry. Keats said very goodly elaborated the Greek mythology in his poetry. Keats has dealt with themes, subjects, and situations related to the ancient Greek mythology and literature. He has involved this type of literature also in the Greek mythology. The whole universe of classical Greece has become more alive, animated, and vivid in his poems. We find that we are living in the time period, and the Greek literature, Greek poets, Greek things are more alive, become more alive when we read Keats' poetry. His art, his poetry is for the sake of poetry, just nothing for us. He's just writing this type of poetry for his own love for the Greek mythology. He is in no doubt envisaged as an English Greek in all age, English Greek poet. He is writing English poetry by the influence of Greek. So he merging the two dimension of language as well as the different cultures as well. Keats was no doubt Greek in spirit, but surely has a romantic exuberance. As we know, he is a romantic poet, but still he is bringing something from the classic mythology and elaborating the poetry in a very good manner. In his poetry, we find a rare combination of classicism as well as the romanticism. Here, the classicism means that he is bringing classical ideas in his poetry, not the writing style, but the new ideas that he brings from the Greek mythology, he loves a lot. Uh, Here are the references. You can do further, get further information by that. Thank you. This is from my side. Now you can ask me a question. Ask questions.
Yes, Raj, my question is how does Keats use Greek mythological imagery to convey his ideas about nature and the human experience in his poem?
Okay, Trupti. In Greek mythology, imaginary, we find that Grecian urn, when he sees this Grecian urn, and he is also describing the Psyche, which is the Greek goddesses. So he described the beauty in his poetry, and he is also describing what type of things are doing the in the urn that is incarnated by the in the Greek times period of time, how they people live, how they like to be. And in Endymion, we find that how the love affair of the goddesses and the Endymion find the interest and how they get together. That we also find, and nature we also find how the Greek people live and how the live they move ahead in his time. And human experiences we also find in the different types of poems, as we have discussed this Endymion, Grecian urn, and the other poem, Ode to the Psyche. So yes, next question.
Yes, Yash, did Keats' interpretation of Greek mythology differ from that if his contemporaries, and if so, how?
Yes, we can say Greek. Also, in other poets, we also find the Greek influence, but in Keats' poetry, we find that it is more influenced by the Greek poetry, and it is differ from the other poets. Like in the Romantic period, we find that Wordsworth and Coleridge, Shelley and Byron, they are also writing their nature poems. But in the this Keats' poetry, we find the very new thing, which is bringing the new characteristic of Greek mythology into his poetry. So he somehow differs from the other romantic poets while he is contributing, he is including the Greek mythology and his poetry, and he's portraying is like for his own sake, not for writing a poetry, but whatever he likes, he tries to describe in his poetry. So yeah, thank you.